This is a bit of a problem. Also, how am I supposed to commentate one-shot qualifying? Keeler's apparently leading. Now Eberson's leading. This is funky. Keeler... That's not good for my championship leader, as Tuabti's binned it. Okay, apparently the stream is live now. I can check it on my screen and stuff after qualifying because they need to alt-tab. But Eberson is currently leading. What else can... Snape spinned it. So that's already 2 people out. And... Sorry, Wodge is distracting me. Okay, so... Keeler's now back up to 2nd place after a boring middle bit to the lap. I seem very bored. David Hoy is currently P3. But Eberson is currently P1. Keeler's briefly takes it back but goes a bit deep. How am I supposed... I think that is Eberson on pole position with a 31.3, which is not a particularly quick lap, but given that they don't want track limits, I guess they'll take it. Okay, now I hear sound again. We good. What's this other ping? Yeah, Wodge, I know the game sound isn't working. It wasn't working on my end. I was talking about it, okay? I should be less angry. Here's our qualifying result. Those other people invalidated. Yay! Times. But Eberson's on pole. That's quite quick from the Williams driver, who is... what position? P11 in the championship on 33 points at the moment. That's a point for pole position, so he's on 34, I guess, now. Closing his gap to Keeler, now it's only 138 points. Now we're going into the sprint race. And it's intermediate and someone's already finished up. Why? Actually, now's when I can quickly go down to check the chat and then go back. And we've got 1 second until race start. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go as Eberson leads the pack of 14 drivers away for the sprint race. And it seems like he's got a good enough start to be able to defend against David Hoy, who's also had a very good start and will be challenging Keeler for 2nd place. And I think he's got it as they go into turn 2, although Keeler will try and go around the outside as that's the Red Bull going very wide. Seems like the Alpine might be able to get the best of both of them as they're going 3 wide under braking. But it seems like... Oh, and there's contact! Seems like Hoy has tapped around the Alpine driver. And Keeler had to cut the corner, but is up into P2, but maybe got an illegal overtake from the game. So is having to hand the position back to Hoy, who might have a penalty for that collision. But meanwhile, Oscar Eberson is leading the race by 1.3 seconds, as there's yellow flags further back, as it seems like Groeneweghen's had a bit of a spin. But going back to Keeler, he's harassing the back of David Hoy as they go through the corners and onto the long straight. And then they're going to go into the almost flat, but not flat in the wet turn, which is actually very sketchy, but also very fun. Should I switch to onboards? Yeah, why not? And also I'll get some... Everyone's gone for inters, which isn't too much of a surprise considering it looks like intermediate conditions. But I think everything's just beginning to settle down again. As the race... Yeah, everything's just settling down. We'll ride on board with Keeler to see if he can make his way past Hoy, which he'll be hoping to do because he's probably going to be a bit faster. But we'll go on board with Pavel, who is currently making his way up to P6 and has a lot more straight line speed than our debut driver of Belak, who is seeming to struggle a bit with these intermediate conditions and runs quite wide out of the turn, as we've just had our predicted pit stop strategy. It seems a bit odd, in my opinion, that you want to spend 23 seconds in the pits for slightly fresher inters, as Keeler's having a bit of a snap. That might be a track limit warning. You only get to get 2 of those and then it's a penalty. It's only 9 laps, so they shouldn't be getting too many track limits. That's just a suggestion. But it seems like David Hoy has been able to close in half a second to Eberson. But in the rain, catching is one thing, overtaking is another. Keeler goes a little bit wide, but not too bad. Still carrying decent minimum speed. As they go through the tricky corner. And then into one where you need to go for really late apex and try and get on the throttle as early as possible, especially in the wet. And then they're going into the final turns. Long left-hander, and then you want to open up the corners much with the right-hander. And you can actually use the curb, although you either need to ride it fully or not really use it at all to make sure that all your wheels are on smooth stuff, not the bumpy bit. And it seems like Hoy has been mastering the conditions presented so far. And unfortunately, Zikolewski has retired in the pits, I believe, which is a bit of a shame, considering that anything can happen in a wet race. Actually, it's France. We're riding board with the McLaren, who's currently P2, looking to turn that into P1, and actually has a decent chunk more battery than Eberson. So we'll maybe decide to use it in a future lap and take the lead of the sprint from our pole sitter. Although he does take a bit too much inside curb, which will most likely be a warning unless he's going super slowly. But the game tends to almost always give a warning for that. It's not like running wide. So if he's already done it once, he can't do it again for this race, otherwise that will be a 3-second time penalty. As he almost loses the back on traction, but fortunately doesn't spin and is able to continue keeping pressure onto the Williams driver, as Mitch has got our 3rd time penalty. How are they? This isn't Canada. It's almost as hard. I'd say Canada's the hardest for track limits. Then it's Mexico. Not sure about where. I think France is one of the easier tracks, but it's not as hard as those two. I'm kind of surprised that 3 of them got it within 3 laps. Although these intermediate conditions might be a bit of a struggle for drivers to adapt to at the start. And we'll see whether it's intermediates or possibly even full wets for the race. It seems like it's going to continue raining for the rest of the sprint and not get any heavier or lighter. And even if it did, I don't think there's enough laps for the tyre crossover to happen, as Mitch gets another 3-second time penalty, so not the best of starts for the second McLaren. But the first McLaren's doing pretty well as Keeler, who is saving even more battery than David ahead. I'll be hoping to get past the pair of them at some point to get the 8 points for winning the sprint. Everyone's... I think I was still within track limits. as he's going to try and go for a look up the inside of David, but it just doesn't work out with the way that the corner tightens up. And that will have cost them both a bit of time, but I think they still have... But I think they can afford it at this moment. But if they leave it too late, they might allow Eberson to keep the win if they battle too hard. As I'm struggling with words. And it seems like none of them are deciding to use the exit curb there. I'm not sure if you can use it in the wet. You can in the dry if you get frothy, but David Hoy is going to go for a move on Eberson to try and take the lead of the sprint race, and they're going side by side through turn 1 and 2. And it seems like the McLaren has been able to get past the Williams. Now Keeler's going to see if he can try and capitalise, and Eberson goes a little bit defensive and is able to fend off Keeler for now, and is trying to possibly even go for a move on... That was a bit silly. That will have cost Eberson a bit of time, and probably a track limit warning. Neither of which are good when you're battling a driver as strong as Keeler. He decides to switch off the battery, and maybe save it for the next straight. Keeler's using 5th gear. Which actually makes a lot of sense in the inters, but it seems like he's not getting the traction that he'll be hoping for, as he does have more battery than the 2 drivers ahead, just as it was last time he checked in. As they're going through this corner where you can take many different lines, and it seems like Keeler's taking a much tighter line than the other 2. Again, he's taking a much tighter line. Maybe it's a difference in driving styles. Where he's just trying to minimise the distance on entry. However, that somewhat sacrifices the quality of the exit. But he's trying to open up the exit quite well for this corner, although just doesn't seem to have enough traction to compete with Eberson, as Ivanek and Pena in the Aston Martins are following not too far behind, so maybe they could get involved if the cars we're watching now scrap a bit too hard and lose some time. Although it seems like Keeler's pace has started to drop off a bit as they round through this corner, as well as David Hoy. Seems like Eberson now might be one of the quickest cars on the track, which would be interesting to see if he wants to go for that move again, and I think he might, as the gap is now 0 and they're going side by side into the turn, and it seems like Eberson has been able to get past David Hoy, and Keeler might be trying to capitalise, although again his traction is not the best in the intermediates, as Jonas has unfortunately picked up a 3-second time penalty. Although it does seem like Keeler is... Oh, that was sketchy. Oh, he is going for it. That is interesting. Although taking the tighter line meant he couldn't open up the corner exit, especially with the car on the outside. And then just got a bit too greedy on throttle and lost the back. He's doing the gears thing that he was doing in Canada again. Although not to the same degree, I will admit. It is interesting to see the variation in driving styles between them. And I'll just quickly check on the ERS levels. So it seems like Eberson has the least battery and Keeler the most, and we'll actually check on the cars behind, which actually have not that much ERS, so I think Keeler could be in a good position, especially when he's this close to the McLaren. But we'll see whether he gets a good enough exit off this corner. But he takes a much tighter line, which would not work in the dry, but might be quite effective in the wet, as Hoy gets an absolute shocker of the run out of the corner, and that will hand the position on a plate to Keeler, as he goes from P1 to P3 in the space of a single lap. Although that will, fortunately for him, that will only cost 2 points in the race, as it is a sprint, and we are awarding the official point scoring thing for the sprint race. So it'll be interesting to see if Keeler's going to be able to add another win to his tally, although I'm not sure sprint race wins count as full wins. As he thinks about going up the inside, as we have yellow flags, I'm not sure why. But Keeler's going to go around the outside of Eberson, takes a much wider entry, but doesn't get the strong exit that you'd be hoping for. As now they go into the final corner. Will he send a move? No, he will not. He'll wait behind a bit, and he'll get okay traction, better than previous laps. And I think he's also running slightly lower downforce. As they go through turn 1 and 2 with only 2 laps remaining. As Tuabchi's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane and has decided to retire from the sprint. So we'll be starting P13 behind Mitch Snake, who has a lot of time penalties, like a lot. Is he on 9 seconds now? So that would be a second and a bit per lap, which over the course of a 27 lap race might result in him getting disqualified by the game. Could be a bit ridiculous. But Keeler's got 60% battery that he's going to need to spend in the next lap or two, otherwise it's going to go to waste, as there isn't much time left. As he gets a much better exit, as Eberson drives over the curb, but Keeler decides now is not the time to save, but Eberson thinks it's time to use... Did I just say Eberson thinks it's not time? But Keeler's got a much better run through the corner. Corner name I don't really know of, and is thinking of going down the inside, but isn't able to go for the move. But he again thinks about going for it, but Eberson has been able to fend off for one more corner, but it's going to be tight going into the final lap. Also, I'm not sure how Keeler's going to use all his battery. He might. But he'll literally just be holding the battery down every straight. Right, yeah. And he's got a much... Why isn't he using the battery? This is odd strategy. Maybe he's saving it for later. But Eberson is using the battery, so Keeler's advantage is about 40%. If I was Keeler, I would have used a bit more, because I'm not sure that you're going to be able to use most of the battery in one lap on the intermediates. As we go through the snaily section. Keeler runs a little deep, but is able to rescue his run through the corner, as Eberson gets a bit of a snap and Keeler's taking a much more open line, as it seems like they're really fighting hard and they're both using the battery. Or he's probably just waiting for them to crash, but Keeler decides now is not the time, and he'll just go again down this next straight, use the battery and try to get past, although his exit is what I call not ideal. Although Eberson is out of battery, I just don't think Keeler has enough straights to get past, unless he's going to go for it now, but he doesn't use the battery. So, oh, this could end in tears. These don't take each other out. And it seems like Eberson has been able to hold the position for now, as Keeler's pushing his gearbox through the corner as they head into the final complex. And Keeler almost loses the back, and I think that will invite Hoy back to P2 in the race, and also put Keeler under threat from Ivanek. But it seems that Oscar Eberson is going to win his first race. And David Hoy sets the fastest lap for 0 points. I'm gonna quickly go get a drink right now, and then I'll be back. Okay, I am back. And I'll go to the results for the sprint. You'll see the entire thing on one page. And we get this race director sprint race bug again. Ah, wonderful. Just need to wait for the timer to go down. And now we're loading into the race. What's the weather gonna be? What's the weather? Oh, it seems like it's raining again. The question is whether it will dry up. Okay, someone's hit ready up. Slower than the previous 2 times, but still relatively quick. We've got 15 seconds left on the timer. 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and full wets, I think. 5 red lights, and away we go as Eberson leads us all away for the second time. As we've got the suggested pit stop strategy, not now, but it seems like Keeler has been able to do to Hoy. Actually, who started second last time? I'm not sure, but it seems like David Hoy is going to retain second place ahead of Keeler with Eberson well in the lead. As we have a debut driver going down the inside of Keeler, so Keeler's down to 4th. And also it seems like it's full wet conditions. Has anyone decided to go for the inters? Yes, Mitch Snape has. Although on this game, in full wet conditions, inters really do not work. But the question is whether it is at the crossover now. Because I don't see too many puddles. But anyways, we'll see how much Mitch is struggling as we ride on board. Seems to have grit. Ugh. Is that grit? Not too bad actually. It might be just borderline on inters. And I'm not sure if that's heavy rain or just normal rain, although YouTube compression is probably not doing good things for your experience. Although it seems like he's able to gain time to chill because Backlick's already got a time penalty. Maybe he was forced out wide. But it seems like Snape is able to somewhat keep up, so this might be a clever strategy call, as we'll just see how much time he's behind leaders. 9.7 after lap 1, and the pit stop is about 23 seconds. Well, that's probably more like 22 or 21, because you get to cut the chicane, although he is losing quite a bit of time to Eberson now. If the track dries up quickly, going on inters might have been the correct choice. But riding board with Keeler, our championship leader. Though actually, I've given him too much airtime this race. I have allocations as Groeneweghen's had a spin. Let's riding board with Bellat, who is our debut driver for this race in the Ferrari, and is currently running in P3, so not too shabby. Right behind Hoy and Eberson, and ahead of Keeler. And also, the Aston Martins, they were just sitting there in the sprint race, not doing much, but they got some pretty decent grid positions for the full race, and they're using that to their advantage, as Mitch has only lost half a second in the past half lap. So I'm going to give my stamp of approval on that strategy for now, unless it starts heavy raining, although the rain looks like it's lightening up now as Groeneweghen's had another spin. Is that rear wing damage or skill issue? I'm not sure, but David Hoy is getting close to overtaking Oscar Eberson, who is currently our race leader. And also Snape's not losing any time. The Inters might be quick as Churek's already in the pits. I think that might be for Inters. Let's just see when he reaches the Ferrari pit boxes. This is a really long pit lane, and it is for Inters. Has Mitch done a strategy masterclass? I think he might have, and he'll be on the team radio to David Hoy to tell him now is the time to box. Get rid of these wets, even though you've only done 3 laps on them. It's time to get rid of them already. Because the Inters seem to be equal on time, although David does get a bit of a snap. The question is whether he'll decide to go for a move before overtaking Eberson, as Groeneweg's had yet another spin. It'll be quite unfortunate for the Dutch driver, who is unfortunately a minute and 24 behind the leaders, which in the dry would almost be a lap, but as it's still quite wet, it's not that much. Although is the rain getting lighter or heavier? I'm not sure. Although the clouds seem like they're being a bit sunny. Is Churek losing time? No, he's not. As Groenewegen has decided to call it quits, which I think is understandable if you're struggling that much in the conditions. But it seems like none of the leaders are boxing yet. I'm not sure what's happening with the weather, because to me it seems like it's light rain. As Showstack's in the pit, I think maybe he's seen Eberson's, sorry, I meant to say Mitch's pace behind. Backlick sets the fastest lap, but where those on Inters can beat it, I think actually Churk's gained a lot of... Oh, and David's hit Eberson. That was silly. Puts our debut driver in the lead of this race. And Keeler's in P2. And Mitch is gaining time hand over fist. Actually, no, that's because he's done. He is gaining time for the leaders. Ivanek unfortunately had a spin. Seems like Keeler's running much lower wings than the Ferrari ahead, which might allow Keeler to take the lead of the race on lap 4 after being shuffled down to P4 after lap 1. I should stop saying 4 as much. Yeah, he's definitely running lower wings. Oh, that was sketchy. Like, really. Oh, this is tight. It seems like they're able to make it. And it seems like Keeler has been able to get the position. And unfortunately, Martin has a spin, but seems to have avoided damage. But that will really not be good for his race as he's struggling to reverse the car. But Keeler now has a 2-second lead. Whether he boxes, we'll find out. That's a questionable pit entry, but I suspect a lot of them will be struggling, as it seems like the majority of the grid has decided now is the time to box. And that will eventually deposit Mitch Snape in the lead, as Martin's got a time penalty for speeding the pit lane, unfortunately. As Mitch sets the fastest lap of the race. Is that going in golden quotes? I don't know. But he's only 5.8 seconds behind the leader. And he's on better tyres. As Churek then sets the fastest lap. However, is many seconds behind, what's his name, Mitch, as Penny has had a spin. So the Aston Martins haven't been having that good of a feature race, as I'll call it. Will it dry up? Because if it doesn't, and if Mitch has cranked up the tyre pressures, we'll be able to go to the end, I think. Yeah, probably. And win this race. Well, actually, you might just be able to flat out win this race if there isn't a safety car or something. Because right now, his gap is 14.5 seconds, which is absolutely enormous. And that's probably just a product of the fact that the pit lane is so long here. And he's able to gain a decent... He's not gaining that quickly and back a bit. Seems like both tyres are still working. But if it doesn't dry out, Snape will have an extra few laps on his tyres, which will be a bit painful at the end. And David Hoy has decided he's going to stay out. However, as the track continues to dry out, the difference between the wets and the inters will just get bigger and bigger. So I'm not sure what exact strategy Hoy is going for, unless he's going to drop back and hold everyone up for Mitch. Are they going to do that? Maybe. I don't know. But it seems like Churek has got some pretty incredible pace and is now effectively P3 after going for an undercut onto the mediums. I should probably stop riding in board with Mitch because he's just driving laps. I'm sure it's going to be putting Keeler under a decent amount of pressure for P2 behind Mitch. As someone said in the YouTube chat that Snape is an absolute genius. But it seems like the clouds are beginning to get a bit brighter. Or is it just me? I'm not sure. But we're riding on board with Churek, who doesn't get the best of runs. Seems like Keeler's been improving a bit. And is also able to save the battery, which is going to be good, as right now they're about 13.5 seconds behind Mitch. Will David Hoy pit? No, he doesn't. As Hugo's just said, come on Mitchell in chat, goat stuff. Yes, Hugo. We are witnessing a goat who has now taken the race lead of the French Grand Prix and is genuinely leading a race, unless everyone else can take their inters to the end and Mitch has to box again. But let's pretend that's not a possibility. Now, will McLaren do the Giga McLaren strat and use David to back everyone up? Maybe, I don't know. That might just happen naturally if he decides to stay out. But he's gonna lose well over a pit stop by the time the slicks are ready. I'm not sure if it's gonna dry up. It might dry up. We still have 20 laps for it to dry up. When was the last wet race? Me thinking. For Imola. Yeah, it might have been Imola. I should probably stick to commentating this race. It seems like the Alpine driver's gotten past Jonas in the timing tower. Although they're 5 seconds behind Backlick, who was 3 seconds behind Edison. He was actually on the back of Churek, so it seems like Keeler has been turning on the pace at the moment, as David's dropping off, and so is Mitch. I think Keeler's gained something like 2 seconds this lap, but it seems like Emerson has started to drop off, and we'll switch back to interval now. Now that we know that Mitch has done the correct strategy. I was promised Showstack was like on the gearbox of Jonas, but he isn't. As Keeler sets the fastest lap, and I think he might be able to overcome Mitch Snape unless David Hoy decides to be a bit of a cork in the bottle, which you never know, it might happen. Seems like now the closest gap is here, as Everson using third gear, which is interesting and a bit sketchy, and he's using a battery. What wings is Truex running? Is that why he was so quick in the wet? Or did he decide to let Everson through? See whether he goes full throttle down this straight. His traction is much better. Yeah, he's running much higher. Although Everson is using the battery, I'm pretty sure Truex did what David Hoy and Everson did in Imola, which is to crank up the wing for the wet, although I'm not sure how well that will work in the dry. Although it's certainly working in the wet, as Grabsy's spun. As it's a bit argy-bargy going through the final sector for the Williams and the Ferrari, although Everson is able to hold off for now and is running much lower wings, so it won't really be too much of a contest down the straights, provided Everson gets a decent exit, which he does, and now he just pulls away. Steeler sets a 43.2, which is the fastest lap of the race, and Bakalik does a 43.2, so is able to match Keeler on pace with a fairly evenly matched, as the sky is getting brighter and brighter each lap, which might mean an end to this rain, and everyone boxing for mediums. Yeah, I think they'll go for mediums. I think mediums do about 16 laps, and it'll probably be less than 16 laps to go by the time we reach the pit stop phase, as Keeler's been able to dispatch David Hoy, which will allow him to go in hot pursuit of Mitch. I still can't believe Mitch is leading a race. How did Snake lose 5 seconds? I think it might have been because I switched from leader to interval, although Keeler is a lot quicker than him. As we go through the fast corner, as David Hoy is really struggling, especially compared to the high downforce of Truex, just completely mugs the pair of them. What happened to Everson? It's like he's driving under safety car. What? And he's not run out of fuel. What's happening? Is there a desync? Is there oh gosh, no. What? Why is Bakalik in the pits? Oh, I'm sorry, there might be desync going on. What? This is strange. If anyone who's driving is listening, keep driving. But I'm not sure if there is desync. Oh, actually, Mitch Payne say, is there desync? I'll ask them again, is there desync? It seems a bit sketchy. I don't know. Or maybe it was just Everson decided to slow down and Bakalik decided to box for no apparent reason. But I really do not understand what is happening. Was there a safety car or was there not? I have no clue, as apparently Mitch is slow on the straights. Keeler's so quick. He really should be promoted. But then it will be a fight. Then Kent, who's unfortunately off sick this race, will be our championship leader, I think. Unless actually, as there's a bit of rubbing, as I think Showstack and Pena are both going to be able to get past David Hoy. who is sticking out on the wets, which seems to be a worse decision than his teammate, as it seems like the rain is really beginning to stop now. Why is everyone in chat wanting Keeler to bin it or get a 20-second penalty? Just tell Mitch to buy some skill from the skill store or whatever. Maybe he's just too slow or something. Seems like Showstat's also running slightly lower wings than Pena as they go through this chicane. David Hoy gets overtaken again. What else? Eberson. Eberson is on the back of Churek again. So, it has stopped raining. The question is when it will dry up. On the F1 game, there's two possibilities. There is... Truex in the pits. One possibility is that it's overcast and it never dries up. Another is that it is sunny, it stays wet, and then suddenly it's dry. But I don't think that point has happened yet, and I don't think this is the correct choice. Well, a bunch of people have decided to call it into the pits, but I don't think it's time yet, based off looking at the track. And also the 70-degree tyres. Yeah, Truex really struggling. He might have bottled a possible podium here. What? Has the track just suddenly dried up? I'm not sure, but I think I have to wait and see. I might be wrong on this strategy call. This might have actually been correct, although it does look like he is struggling a bit right now, but now might be the lap to box. Is he losing or gaining? He's gaining time to Hoy, but that's not really representative. Relap has another penalty for track limits, unfortunately. We'll see how Truex is doing okay in the corners, but you have to remember he's running much higher wings than everyone, although he did gain a second to Hoy through that chicane. But I think now is the time to box. And also, Keeler is right on the gearbox of Mitch now. After just like 8 laps, he's gained like 16 seconds. A bunch of people probably slowed down to 80 kilometers instead of 60, which is the speed limit at France. But it seems like now is the lap. But I think I'll ride more with Eberson to see whether it was the right choice to stay out another lap or box onto mediums compared to Truex. But it seems like the track has dried out extremely quickly, as it seemed like it would be given the amount of sun, and it appears as though Eberson has gotten the overcut on Truex, though Truex have warm tyres, which will maybe allow him to close to within DRS. But I think staying out that extra lap was the right choice, but it didn't go as badly as I was expecting, as now the track is bone dry. Actually got 2 battles. I think Truex got a lot more grip. He was ahead at the detection point. No DRS yet, what? But Eberson's running much lower wings. I'm also riding more with Keeler to see whether he will be able to get past Mitch. Although he does have a lot more battery, so I saw a bit of a glitch back. And I think Truex might start to struggle a bit now with his higher wings, now that the track has gone completely dry in about half a lap, as DRS is finally enabled by the game. As Keeler's going to be thinking about going for a move on Mitch, although he knows that he has 14 laps to get the move done and can probably pull a pit stop in that time. His Battlet gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And it seems like Snape's actually got a pretty decent run through the penultimate and final corners. And Keeler's getting bad traction just like in the sprint race. Which means that Mitch will be able to keep the position for another sector. Now we're just ticking down the time until Mitch loses the position. Although we're all hoping we'll keep it forever. So that might be with hopium, or copium, or whatever they call it. And the Keeler will have DRS now. And we'll see how bad Mitch's straight line speed deficit is. And Keeler's got the DRS and the battery and the slipstream. Although it seems like Mitch is decently quick on the straight. He's not as quick as Keeler. And does Keeler just won this race? There could be a safety car. You never know. We're riding more with Eberson, who tries to go around the outside. And they're going side by side on exit, and Turek, with the higher wings, has got much better traction, however, is out of battery and is running much higher wings, and will get completely mugged on the straight. And now that this corner is flat, Eberson is going to have an absolutely massive advantage. Though he loses the back end, maybe he's running a bit too aggressive of a setup, and that allows Turek straight back through, although I suspect that Eberson will be straight back past the next time we get to that straight. Seems like Eberson's really struggling with the balance on the slicks. He does have DRS, so we'll probably gain like half a second on this straight or something. Yeah, about half a second. As he's seeing that flashing red light of Turek indicating that he's low on battery, as Backlick seems to have problem on the straight, which seems a bit odd. As Eberson seems to cut the corner, which might be a warning, which will put him closer to another penalty, which will be unfortunate as it means that Turek just needs to stick within DRS and then get the position. Eberson's fingers. No, he was out. Eberson's really struggling, but someone who isn't struggling is Mitch Snape. Actually, he's just bring battery inside DRS for a lap or two, and then he's just going to drop out when his battery runs out, and then he's going to be swallowed up by a... Actually, will Turek be able to get past? Eberson's straight line speed compared to Turek is just like insane. This reminds me a lot of Imola. He's so much faster through the corners, but so much slower on the straights. This is somewhat entertaining, and I suspect that Eberson will just pull straight away from Turek, despite the Ferrari having DRS and a bit of slipstream. 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths. Now someone in chat is saying I'm going to get 5 for being biased against Mitch, but all I'm going to say is that firstly Turek has now got a 3-second time penalty, and secondly he is just slow. You cannot really dispute that. He's losing a lot of time to Keeler, so I don't know what you're going... He's not going to get overtaken or caught up. I should probably stop insulting admins, but... It's funny. Funny, yes. And when I have nothing else to do other than cry about Turek's straight line speed, as he's losing literally half a second down that straight. So he's 1.9 seconds. Well, I'll be generous, say 1.9. Now he's 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2. Yeah, he's losing like a second and a half a lap in the straights. What do you mean I'm slow? No, I'm faster than Mitch. My time trial PB is a 29.9. Get wrecked. It's only like 11 tenths off Ronha. And also, Luke, you're also slow. Imagine not getting P2 in a social race around France. What do you mean his face is better than my face? Are you just trying to get me mad? And I can't do anything about chat other. Actually, there is something I can do. I can do that. Oh, I need to mute it. Haha. Who gets to watch Mitch? I guess we'll just do audio commentary of everyone but Mitch, and then at the end of the race, Mitch will get to tell you where he finishes. But if I keep doing this, Wodge will get angry at me and start pinging me in Discord going, oh, I can only see thumbnail. So here you go, Wodge. Here's some racing. Okay, apparently I'm fired now. But what else is there to talk about other than Churek getting mugged in a straight line? Yeah, I have literally nothing else to do other than show you Churek getting mugged in a straight line, which is what we're doing right now. As the Alpine has just been able to drive straight past him and Keeler's been able to drive off to presumably a race winner's Turabti's had another spin. Although it seems like Mitch might be able to hold his position against Eberson, especially considering the time penalties. Stop sending me messages on Steam, it gives me a lag spike. Is Hugo on audio only? What do you mean I'm washed? Stop insulting me, chat. Why are you abusing me so much? It's a tough job commentating these skill-ish... Actually, this isn't the full skill issue, this is just partial skill issues here. I probably shouldn't call them that. Like how a teacher shouldn't call it a child unintelligent or whatever. Although we have a DRS train. Finally, something other than Churek getting mugged in a straight line. Ooh, there's a move. There's a move up ahead. Whoa, Turabti's gone for an overtake. Turabti's kinda quick. What do you mean I abused Mitch? He doesn't know I've done it yet. What is going on? And I've got a ping. Is that Wodge telling me I'm showing the thumbnail? No, it's not. Stop sending me ratios! You know how annoying it is when you get Discord pings mid-race and you have to check what it is in case it's Wodge going or whatever. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but... all of this. We have a DRS train, but I'm too busy to commentate. Wait, has Keeler got a penalty? Detailed. Keeler does have a penalty. If there's a late safety car, Mitch will win the Grand Prix. Okay, I've stopped insulting Mitch. Stop insulting me. Actually, keep insulting me because that's good for stream engagement, which is good for clicks and everything. Keep hurling the abuse at me. However, now I'm enraged by Wodge. This is all good for stream engagement. Everyone, hit the like button. I want to see that number go from 3 to greater than 3. Because I know there's more than 3 of you insulting me. I probably also need to click it. But that would involve alt-tabbing. And right now there's a DRS train. You see a DRS train. Yeah. That's slightly interesting. Slightly more interesting than Churek getting mugged in a straight line. Actually, it's just another Ferrari getting mugged in a straight line. And there's only 3 likes on the stream. Now what? Now you're saying there's 4. I only see 3 on my screen. Now there's 4. Okay, good. I won't have to end the stream prematurely. 5. Let's go. This like baiting is working. I'm gonna push up the view engagement and all of that stuff. As we see a Ferrari without DRS or battery. A somewhat familiar sight. I feel kind to all of you. Here is Mitch. That's not what you want. Uh-oh. Is Mitch D-Sig with everyone? It's now when I sound the alarm bells. Seems to fix itself. That's fine. He's only 2.6 seconds ahead of Keeler now. Yeah. I think Mitch is just too skilled. And has gone into... and has manipulated the space-time dimension. He's done a big corner cut. And has manipulated the space-time dimensions. So that now, he's in the lead of the race. I'm just communicating the good news. Please don't give me a crown or whatever. But I think Mitch is gonna get P2 with all the penalties. Unless he has a spin, but... we all know the probability of that. Actually, you know the probability. What you think the probability is probably different from what I think the probability is. Okay? Can we agree to disagree, chat? I need to see more stuff in chat, otherwise the view engagement goes down. Yes, good! Goat maneuvers! Yes! Let's go! This is great! Anything else? Mitch's internet is bad. But one thing that isn't bad is his skill at picking a strategy and not getting time penalties. Because if he keeps it up like this, he's gonna get a podium. Why did Hugo Nilsson say no? If you say no, I'm just gonna say no to commentating. And you can get this. You can get this, you suckers, or whatever. Probably should call you a sucker. Why? What? Actually, I just had a big thrill. I caught Keeler do the pit entry a bit pissfully on stream. And he's got a 3-second track limit penalty. And the gap right now is bleep seconds. And because Hugo said no, I'm not going to tell you the gap between Keeler and Snake. But I'm going to tell you it is less than 8 seconds at the moment. I'm just going to keep you waiting. No to agree to disagree. Oh, you said something nicely. Yeah, I'll put the stream back on. The gap is 6.8 seconds. And a bit more lag. Lag is backlit, so I can say there is lag. More penalties. Mitch seems to be keeping up with Keeler. Is Keeler intentionally just driving slowly so that he pulls away? Chat probably hopes not. But yeah, Keeler is very slowly pulling away, but not as quick as I was expecting. I guess I'm just a washed commentator. I thought Mitch's strategy wasn't gonna be the best at the start, because normally the wets in the wet don't, or the inches in the wet don't work too well. And then I thought Churek boxing that lap early screwed him over, only cost him like 0 seconds, which is 0 or infinity times, or 0 times. It depends if you want more or less. If you want to multiply or divide, you either get infinity or 0, compared to my expectations of how much time we lose by boxing a lap too early. I guess I do need to get fired. Although right now, Snape is about 6/10 away from dropping out of Keeler's 5-second plus 3-second penalty range. So, keep drinking the hopium or whatever, as we have a battle. I'm just going to show you the battle. You can commentate it yourselves, as I'm too busy getting obsessed about Mitch. You can see something on the screen that I would normally point out, but I think you can see someone's state of charge, or as they like to say in Formula E, sock. Although the batteries in Formula E are like 40... I think they're like 47.8 times bigger or something like that. You shouldn't do mental math on screen chat. You need to have when you're commentating, you need to have an engineer to do these mental math things for you. Just like you have an engineer when you're racing to do your tyre wear math. To say whether your tyres will make it or not. I need, like, someone in chat to tell me. I think it's 187.5 megajoules for Formula E. I think it's something like that. Was it points? Or was it 0.2? Was it 0.6? I don't know. It's about 48 times bigger than the 4 megajoules in an F1 car. But we have a car, some cars nose to tail. Backlit sets the fastest lap on the soft. And there's actually a lap down, I've noticed. And Zieklewski gets past Showstack. Though Showstack's not giving this up. He is giving this up. Oh, apparently Luke doesn't have an engineer. I just asked people what I should do. You mean you ask your engineer what you should do? Your engineer who's normally me, who's normally ahead of you on track. And ahead of you in the championship standings. Get wrecked. I'm doing better than Keeler and Mitch in the PCF1 standings, so you get wrecked. I know Mitch hasn't started the PCF1 race, but that's not the essence of it. If I was in PCF3, I would be smashing all of them. I bet you that. But I don't, because I'm not allowed to, because I'm too much skill or whatever. I have too much skill to drive in this lobby. I can only commentate. And put an absolute bang of a commentary out. Imagine being Mitch watching this back. Mitch, by the way, if someone decides to report Keeler and whether Keeler's entry infraction was an infraction or not, you might be just 1/10 away from getting a race win, so keep up the okay work. Actually, wait a minute. I hope they don't take out Mitch. Or maybe they just drag Mitch along in their DRS and then Mitch gets past with the penalties. Although Mitch seems to be much more skillful at cutting the corners. What do you mean, you're not dropping a diss track? Oh, you want me to stop dissing you? Sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. And Mitch getting overtaken and dropping out of Keeler's 8-second penalty range sounds like a Mitch problem, not a me problem. I just commentate. There's 2.5 laps left. All Keeler can really do is extend the gap. All Mitch can do is not get a penalty and close the gap and not have his internet die, not have a spin and not get taken out and not do a bunch of bad things and not have a puncture, not have the tyres drop and not go deep like that. Oh, that was sketchy. What do you mean, Everson, go away? Actually, I do get what you mean, although Everson did start on pole, and then Mitch's teammate did do a bit of an Assasaruni, as Ned Flanders would like to say, as there's some blue flags as something's happened to the back of it. I don't know what's going on. We've got 2 laps remaining. Mitch seems to be struggling a bit. Just a bit. As long as nothing's resolved. Ugh. I'm just gonna let you commentate that. Commentate that yourselves. And you can be going, oh. Nice track limits. Nice internet. Tell that to Lapid. You need to tell that to Eberson after he's been reported, because I don't think he's really listening right now, unless he is. Eberson, if you're watching, actually no, I shouldn't give bad. I'm going to give you legal advice, which is anything I say from now on is possibly not my actual opinion, and me saying you should do something does not mean that I'll not give you a penalty for doing it, but you should go and assassinate Keeler so that Mitch can win this race, and also maybe assassinate the Alpine in case he pulls out of 6 seconds or if Mitch gets a penalty. But everyone's on the Mitch hype train, as a Ferrari spun. But we're all on the Mitch hype train, so does that matter? No. Is there anything interesting going on? Let's ride on board with Mitch! He was the, he's dropped out of DRS. His tyre's going off. Is his skill expiring? Because right now he's almost 4 seconds behind the Alpine driver, 6 seconds of penalties. That's not good. Has the pace departed with his internet? This is not ideal. Really not ideal. Should I annoy someone in chat right now? Nah, I don't. It's not. There's a word I want to say that will give someone who's in the chat right now brain damage, but I don't feel that evil. And it's not really a good time to say it. Keeler won. Nobody cares about you, Keeler. Go away. You've won too many races. By the way, if Keeler wasn't existing, David Hoy would be a race winner. Apparently Mitch's internet is not normally like Theos. But does that matter? Mitch has P2. Look. Look on the screen. Look. Just look. Everyone, look. Hype overload. Mitch got, what's it called? Position 2, which is 18 points, right? That's however many he scored in the sprint. That will jump him up a bunch of positions. What's happening? I need to ask people. David Hoy gets the point fast. That I need to ask people whether they want interviews. Who ends up joining? We'll go into Talking 2 because Talking 1 is busy with Wodge and some PlayStation noobs. Oh, I need to get back to the thing so I can try and get Race Direct, and it started raining again. But here's the results from the full race. And because there are so few starters, we do not need to scroll down. And Race Director actually works. You see Mitch's goated one stop. Imagine doing a one stop. That is just utter genius. It means you save 23 seconds. Although it was 23 seconds was not enough seconds to beat Keeler, who has won this race.
Hello!
Hello! And in the interview room, we have Keeler, who is again, for the 4th time this season, our race winner.
Oh my god. That was crazy race and sprint.
Yeah.
I
So,
After I overtook Michel, I didn't know if I will make it to the end on this distance, and I was saving them like for 50 laps, so it wasn't the best.
yeah, although in the end, I think you had a 10-second margin despite your 3
Yeah,
second penalty,
yeah,
so not too bad. So, after lap 1, you were P4, and
yeah.
then like 3 or 4 laps later, you up to P1, and then from there, you just caught up to Mitch and then drove off into the distance.
Yeah, because in wet I'm not the best, as you could see,
Yeah,
but in dry I am better. But when I saw Turek behind me, and know he won last season race here, I was scared because he was so fast on the inters.
he was running extremely high wings, like above
Notice that?
30-30, I reckon.
Oh my god, crazy man.
Possible. It's like it's a bit like remember Imola when half the grid was on.
Yes.
It was Churek versus everyone else.
When I saw I think that was Misha and Oscar crash, I was quite happy because that was two positions
I
for
think
me
it was
and
David. Mitchell was
David.
David
Oh, okay.
Hoy,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other
David.
McLaren. Mitch was just
Yeah.
doing 2 billion IQ strats on the
Yes.
inters. But we'll move on now to Oscar Eberson, who was second to join the interview room after Keeler. Pole position, P1 in
Yeah,
the sprint. That was a very tight P1 in the sprint.
yeah, it was a crazy battle.
Yeah, although it wasn't the best race. You got a good
No,
start, and then unfortunately, it seems like David Hoy just tapped the back of you.
yeah, and after that I got the rear wing damage, so I had
Ah,
a rough time keeping it on
Oh.
track. That's why I got a lot of penalties
yeah,
because I
I
had to
think I
correct
noticed
myself.
that you were really struggling with the rear when you switched to dry. Like,
Yeah,
compared to Churek, you just drive past him on the straight and then you get a snap of oversteer.
yeah, and
I
you
believe
get it.
it's turn 12, and then you'd be right past.
Yeah, so it was pretty tough, but it was a good race since I've had a couple of bad performances the last couple of
At
Grand Prix.
least you have a win on the board in quotation marks,
Yeah,
because I'm not sure if a sprint race win counts as a win. But someone who is going to be counting this race as a win, Mitch, P2. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, I am. I'm living. I'm
You are
very happy with
really
myself.
quiet.
I thought, you know what? I knew it was gonna rain. Kia, did you use a wet cell? Out of curiosity, you didn't, did you? Because I had thought, you know what? Screw it into start, and it worked perfectly. I mean, turn one was a bit of a problem for me, but nonetheless, I thought it was a good idea. And then goes from inters to wets to inters, then to dries, and I thought, you know what? I have a good chance. I see Killer come past. I'm like, no, not fighting it, no point. And then I see Oscar and Pavel fighting. I'm like, well, Oscar got 14 seconds, so just take your time. And then I nearly crashed up. Other than that, I'm very happy.
I think that's your best. Yes, that is your best result of the season, improving by 1 position over Baku.
Baku was good.
Baku was a good race, but in all fairness, I think one positive I can take of this race is no safety cars, so I didn't
Yes.
have to deal with everyone else behind me,
That
which
was
is one of the things
You've
I
had
was
2
very concerned
races in a
about.
row without a safety car.
Good.
crazy.
I think we need
Good
to
job,
give
guys.
this kit an award.
Yeah, I mean, with some of the driving and the dive bombs, yeah, I think that's a very good award.
Yeah, I think you'll have fun watching back the stream, Mitch.
Oh, I definitely will. I mean,
Yeah, everyone in chat understands
yeah, I
why.
know. Get all my fans back at home.
Yes, all your fans.
Boys, I made it.
You're probably
Did
gonna be
Something happened in the back?
You're probably going to
Yes.
be really happy and really angry at me simultaneously when you watch the stream back. But
Why?
you'll find out. And then you can listen back to this interview at the end and it will seem hilarious.
Can I say
Okay,
something
I
to
look
stream?
forward to it.
Yes, you can.
I wish fast recovery for Jordan. Because I think he is watching that and best to mate.
Yes. Hopefully you can join us for... it's Spain next week.
Oh my god.
Woo!
I had a race there yesterday. Lap 1 got involved in lap 1 carnage. Got a bit of wing damage and had to box. And then it was 32 laps of driving outside the points. It was so boring.
That does sound quite boring. That sounds
Hopefully,
normal to me.
hopefully we'll have a more interesting race than that next week. And I guess I need to end the stream at some point, so I guess everyone on the stream, see you next week. Bye.